might be struggling in our own ways at the moment, and or not. But the fact that hope, if you like, that thing to look forward to when we do step into a higher level of ourselves, when it's time, that is like, oh, how exciting is that? It's something to wake up in the morning for, to look forward to. It's not, although there's so much gloom and doom in the energy, everywhere, there is. If you can tap into that, then do so. But why? But, this whole thing of it's time, I think, to come out of this sort of this depression that we've all been in for with what's going on in the world. And I can still hear things now and go, God, the world is, God. But then we've got to now turn it around and go, with all that's going on, and go, right, but this is what's going on. Yet ahead of us lies this, and we, there's something in me, which I'm sure is in everybody, that makes you go in your heart, this thing of, I am a warrior of the light, and I'm ready, I've got my backpack on, I'm ready to go, type of thing. And I think that is something we all need to really, is a good thing to hold on to.
Welcome to the Inner Sanctum Online Group Sessions with Karen Swain. This recording is some highlights from our 2 to 3 hour online sessions where I teach deliberate creation each week, and once, and sometimes twice a month, we invite a guest teacher to share their wisdom and their work. And we can quiz them and we have a lovely time. Enjoy the highlights, and if you'd like to join us, please go to karenswain.com/Inner Sanctum and sign up.
Hello, welcome to the Inner Sanctum with our very special guest teacher, Blossom Goodchild. Welcome, Blossom. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Over there in sunny Queensland, it is in the morning here on a Monday morning. And I'm sure that people who are watching this, the recording back, Blossom. If you don't, let me read you a little bit about Blossom. She's been on the show before. We've had a chat on the show before, haven't we, Blossom? We giggled and laughed. Two gigglers getting together. I had a few comments about how they loved the energy between us giggling and laughing. But Blossom Goodchild is a professional direct voice channel medium who has been channeling a Native American Indian spirit energy called WhiteCloud for around 20 years. She shares the messages of unconditional love by means of personal readings, videos, and group events. Blossom began communicating with the Federation of Light, which is a stream of consciousness, in 2005, and their conversations are now world-renowned. I know, Blossom, your work has really expanded in the last year or two, like 2 years.
Yeah, I think that, is a lot to do with the current situation, because I think people have been indoors and searching their soul a bit, really, and just sort of so looking around to see, what is out there, to find out what is in there, really, So yeah, it's really gone. So many more people have subscribed to my YouTube and my newsletter and things, which is absolutely great, and indeed as they have to many other channelers and teachers or whatever. Yeah.
You followed your sister and family from the UK to the sunny Sunshine Coast in 2000. So you came, when I first saw you online, Blossom, I thought, she's in English. I just thought you were in England. And I was so delighted to see that you were in Australia. I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
So you came out here in 2000 and happily lived with your husband, Goody, and the Spoodle dog, Chief.
Yep. Goody because of Goodchild. So I've only ever known him as Goody. His name is David. So we're a couple known as Goody and Bloss, which is Goody and Blossom, which is a bit unusual. They don't forget us.
And you've been a professional actress for many years, and you're still doing that when you can, when COVID allows you to do that. And yep. Anyway, and it says here that you say, it's an honor to assist and be in service to WhiteCloud and the Federation of Light and bring through their messages as much as it can be challenging. with all the, when you put yourself out there as somebody who's, out there in the public eye, and then you get everyone's opinion about who you are and what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind discussing that, because there are people in this group that I've asked to, to do that, who are channeling exalted wisdom. And I say to them, you're not just doing it for yourself, you've got to share that message with the world. Mm-hmm. So what's beautiful about you, Blossom, is watching you on that journey, having your little raves on. I think the last video I watched of you was you having a bit of a rave before WhiteCloud.
A little rant, yeah.
So talk to us about that journey of, putting yourself out there as a channel and.
Yeah, sure. It's, I guess for me, it was just meant to be. I mean, I often just, like even this morning, I was lying in bed going, what am I going to say to these people? How did I end up in this situation, really? And I do know many people that write in that say, oh, I channel for myself. And what you say is very much what my lot are saying, et cetera, et cetera. I guess all I can think is that it was meant to be, really, because I certainly, when I was at school, I wasn't sitting there thinking, oh, when I grow up, I want to channel a dead Native American Indian. Wasn't on my agenda. I just wanted to be in the theatre. So I had no sort of, not psychic at all on that one. So I had no idea. And this still, truly, even now, it absolutely... I haven't quite grasped the reality that thousands and thousands of people read my conversations that I have in my head, type of thing. There's no voice. It is purely telepathic. And I just guess it just is a journey that I found myself on. And maybe, you might know, Karen, there's been a few times when I've just spat the dummy. And there was once in 2011 when the Federation were talking about pillars of light coming in. And they said it would be before the end of the year. And and there were no pillars of light by the end of the year. And I just thought, I sort of had a thing with them of, your street cred and mine is going down the pan, and I'm not prepared to make a fool of myself. I need to know that what I'm bringing through is the truth, and I'm not prepared, because then I get all the abuse. They don't. I get all the abuse, saying, where are they, this, that, and the other. And so I stopped for about 3 months. I just thought, I'm not going to do this anymore. And then I sort of, I don't know, I heard somebody say something online about it was they knew that's why they'd come to the earth at this time to do this. And it just triggered something in me. And I thought, oh, stop being so childish, Blossom. Stop it and get back on board, type of thing. So I did. And even that was in 2011. And there's still been times, it's really difficult to explain what it is that makes you think I'm going to stop. I just can't do this anymore. I don't know if it's people, it probably is people's emails really that might have a go at me, but I've really learned so much now of, if you feel what you're, this is for everybody really, if you feel that what you're bringing through is the truth and it feels right, then start a blog, or do something, or just amongst your friends, be brave enough to go, look, I've just started doing this. Because as you say, Karen, what is it for? It's not just, it might just be for yourself, but there are many people that say, I'm just not brave enough to go out there. And and there are some people out there now, with all respect, that I think, oh yeah, shouldn't have bothered really. From the point, perhaps leave that one alone, because it doesn't resonate as truth. It resonates as ego. And I think that is a big thing, that you have to check in that this isn't about ego. And for me personally, I know it sounds a bit strange because I'm an actress and that's all I ever wanted to do was be on the stage. But that has nothing to do with, I never wanted to to be famous or anything. It's just I have a passion to perform. And this, I think, you have to be discerning as well, because there's a lot of people out there who are doing this for their ego. And I think if you do it, if you're coming from ego, you start then perhaps getting beings or energies coming in that aren't of the higher light, because you're doing it not. I think the main thing is the intention as to why you're doing this. Even if it's an intention of, I'm not going to put it out there to anybody, my intention is for the greater good of all, in a sense. It really, like I'll come off of this, I know it, and I'll think, oh, I had a great time, I met new people and all this. But at the same time, I can sit here thinking, before I came on, I was like, what am I going to say to these to these people? It comes easily because I'm a performer, I suppose. And I've certainly, over the 20 odd years, I've learnt to just be myself. But if you're going to go out there, you are definitely, as you say, you're putting yourself on the line, and you have to be prepared to put up with that or get out, because there's a lot of trolling out there. There's a lot of people that are paid to make me feel bad.
Yeah.
They are. And so you've just got to rise above all that. And, I am so blessed. I am so blessed that my work seems to have taken off in the way that it has.
Yeah. As you say, it's meant to be. When I listen to other channels' stories, channels like Abraham, like the really big ones, the Seth material, the story is very often, there was an intention for it to happen, but it started happening effortlessly, and then they didn't ever want to make it public because they thought, oh my God, people are going to think I'm so crazy. I remember Esther Hicks said to her husband Jerry, please promise me you'll never tell anybody this is happening.
It is because, luckily in this time, it's so different, but back 21 years ago when I started, this is my 22nd year with WhiteCloud, and I started with the Federation in 2005. Back then, people would say, oh, hello, if they met me, especially when I first came over here, what do you do? And I go, oh, I'm a housewife or, or an actress. I never, if I said, oh, I have a Native American Indian that speaks through me, it was like, oh, where did they go? It was like, they were like the woman's crackers. Whereas now it really, and I knew, new people I was meeting because I'd come here, that I knew there was chat about, have you seen, have you met that oddball, that new woman that's, because they didn't understand. Whereas now so many people are opening up and awakening to finding out more about all this kind of thing, but I've certainly in my time, I've been ridiculed beyond measure because of what I do. And sort of my father was a very, very strong Catholic, went to church every day. And to have to sort of tell him, he to him originally he was like, I was working with the devil in his eyes. But then a long story, but he did turn it all around. We turned it all around, and that was fine. But of course it's different, it's different, and people take a while to feel comfortable with that difference.
As I hear your story and the desire to be an actress, the desire to actually be on stage, as you say, not to be famous but to perform, it was very much a part of the plan. Because if you're contracted or in an agreement with the group, with the consciousness of the Federation, and they have made an agreement with you to speak through you to help humanity, then the biggest challenge with this, with my clients, connecting people I find easy, but that ego thing of how do you get over that performance anxiety, like putting yourself in a position where the public are going to see you? It takes a certain amount of ego to want to do that. I didn't do it for many years because I didn't want to. I was saying to my girlfriend the other day, I don't know how much longer I'll do the shows. I've got other things I want to do. And they're like, but you're on every week. And I'm like, yeah, but I never wanted to be on camera.
Yeah. It really is, it's very different going on stage because I know my lines, I know exactly where I walk at this point and I do that. And it's a very different kind of excitement. I prefer the word excitement rather than anxiety. But like with this, when I've done, with a live audience, I was told after a while that that they wanted me to talk as me, Blossom, for the first half, and then WhiteCloud would come in for the second. And I was like, well, talk about what? And they said, we won't you just have to allow it to flow through. And the very first sort of big one I did was in the local theatre here. And it all went really well. I was just talking about how I got into channeling and, my life story about it. And then WhiteCloud did the second half and it went well. And the second night, it was only for 2 nights. It was packed. Obviously the word had got round and I had to wait till it was delayed because so many people were coming in. And I was like, for me, it wasn't ego. I felt, but I was very, I was like, oh, this is amazing. And I got on stage expecting to do exactly a repeat of the night before and tell the story of the night before. And after about 10 minutes, I was like, I knew I wasn't linked in. I couldn't think what I was supposed to say. It was one of those nightmares and I couldn't get off. And I literally, in the end, I had to say to all these people, I had to say, I'm so sorry. I don't know what's going on, but I don't know what I'm supposed to be saying. Nothing is coming through. I can't concentrate. I came out in a sweat. I had to go and sit down on a stool in front of all these people. And I said, well, we'll just sit here for a minute, shall we?
Wow.
And I sat and I was like, oh my God, this is awful. And then something clicked. And I said, I've just realized what it is. I said, I am trying to repeat last night. And that's not what this night is about. And see the relief now. And then from that moment, it started flowing again because, and that was such a big lesson for me, that you have to trust and allow what is meant to come through at the time, And I think, Karen, if that's all right with you, Karen, with you, that to say about, that's such a big thing with the channeling. Absolutely. Is the trust. Absolutely. Because even now, after 20 odd years, my husband, will say to me, trust, Blossom, trust, because you think, how do you know the difference between you and them? Because when you don't hear a voice, how do you know you're not just making this up, and it's such a journey of trust, I feel, for everybody that does that.
Absolutely. Can I get you to put your mic a little bit closer? Somehow I think it dropped down and it's a little less loud.
Is that better?
Better.
Yes. Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah.
Look, absolutely. That is the biggest lesson, the best lesson. I wouldn't say the only lesson, but it's the biggest. That expectation, like you cannot show up in expectation of what you think is going to happen. I had that same thing. I was asked to go. So you and I work very differently. You actually actively say I'm channeling, whereas I don't. I just turn up as me, but I'm channeling. But I don't say I'm channeling. I often call my mob. I'm talking to my mob, but I do it very differently to you, in that I don't take on the personality of, a past life or but, we all do it in our own way, right? Yeah. But I turned up to this cafe to do a talk and I had an expectation in my head. I'm going to talk about joy and happiness and I'm going to make it really light and fluffy and give everyone a good time. And that's not what happened. I started talking about religion and cancer and death.
Yeah.
And you know, like you, when I was because I get a sense of what's going to come. And I was sitting in this cafe, and like you, I had no sense. I had nothing's happening, nothing's going on. And I was quite nervous. I'm like, what the hell is going to happen? Because I normally get a sense. And then I stood up to talk, and then it's like someone throws a switch and I start yakking.
Yeah.
And I sat down at the end of it exhausted, because I was battling the process the whole time because I had expectation. Yeah. So I sat down exhausted from the process. Normally I'm enlivened from the process. And every person in that cafe, there was about 40 or 50 people, pretty much every person came up and said, I brought my best friend with me. He's diagnosed with cancer. My dad's in hospital dying of cancer. I met my wife at the cancer clinic. I'm studying religion at university. Like, everything I spoke about was, speaking to the group.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And you have to realize as well, of course, that, that's another thing when I do, online videos with WhiteCloud and things, is that, when it's reaching a lot of people, not everybody is on the same vibration. Not everybody is as far on their journey or as, as aware about certain things. So you're sort of having to cater for the the common denominator of the vibration of people, in a sense.
I don't reckon you've got to cater for anybody. I just think, I think you've got to show up empty without expectation and let the vibration and the work do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, but that's what I think, Karen, is that I think when WhiteCloud and that says whatever they're saying, it's because he has, like when I speak, I know I'm channeling when I'm with people in like you, in the sense that is catered for because they can assess the group energy, if you like, of what needs to be addressed or what, because I'm sure, like you, many people will say, I felt like that was directed straight to me. That was for me. And you've got, 30 people in a room going, that was for me, because it they can feel it for their soul.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What I love about your work too is that I think I saw you on the last show saying that some woman had said, you should be more enlightened, you shouldn't be stressing as much, or something like that, right? Yes. And I thought to myself, it's a bit like the conversation with God books, because you maintain the human personality that worries and stresses and gets pissed off, and you do that publicly, you're not putting yourself out there as holier than thou, that you never get upset about anything. It actually gives people that example of who we are as people, as personalities, and coinciding with spirit, like channelings, because we're all doing it. We're all connected to God and exalted wisdom, and then we're all human and, fallible.
Yeah.
And so it just gives the public that experience of how that mixes inside the human experience,
Yeah, and it's interesting, that seems to be what attracts people to my work, it seems, because I am just me, and it's not like I am a scientist or this, that, and the other, that I can teach it in that way and that I know exactly what I'm talking about, because truly, I just happen to do what I do, but it doesn't, and I'm quite a bubbly person, but it doesn't make me I can't walk on water, or it's like people sort of tend to put me, I've met people that have said, they're coming to where I live and would I possibly, meet them for a coffee or something, and quite happy to do that. And, I've met people who I've said, I'm not what you thought I am. Am I? And they're like, no, you're not.
Do you think they walk away disappointed that you weren't levitating during the coffee?
Yeah. Like you're eating my yogurt on a mountain. They think that I must know everything and all this, and they might say something to me, and I'll be like, sorry, I don't know what that is. And they expect me to know it all. And I don't. I truly, truly don't. I'm aware of a lot of things because of people sending me stuff that is going on at this time and all that kind of thing. But in terms of enlightened. No. No.
Well,
I think though, what I might say is that I think our point of being here, I feel, is to lead by example,
right.
and be bright and light. And I find that easy to do, like now type of thing with people. But that doesn't mean I don't have that side of me, that I'm not jumping for joy and all that. I can go very deep, and I can get very confused and very depressed because of the state of the world. I'm not this sort of, people say you're so full of light and love, and I think, well, I am when I'm talking to you, because I'm not going to come online and be miserable, but I mean, this that I'm being now, I would say, is my self. I'm being myself, but I certainly, that's it. I am just I wanted to go on the stage, and I went, that's my passion. So to find myself being questioned or written to by scientists and people of high intelligence, I'm out of my depths. I'm absolutely out of my depths, and they think I should know all that they're asking me, or if I don't know, ask them.
But that's that trust thing again. You might be out of your depth when you're identified with Blossom, the personality, and the life of Blossom. But once you're connected to the Federation, now you have got access in that connection, and sometimes the access is wanted and needed, and sometimes it's not. Like my girlfriend, I was telling on the last session we had. A story about my girlfriend who lost something, and she said, can't you ask the guys where it is? And I'm like, no, getting nothing. No, not coming through. And the thing is that it wasn't for me to give her the answer, it was for her to find it herself. So
and very much so, it's very interesting for me, and I don't know how other people do work, but I get asked to ask the Federation so many varied questions, and I know that with most of them now it's like, no, it's not their department.
Right.
If you want to know about these things, and if you want to know about different things, they're making it quite clear that is not their department. They are here to keep the vibration high,
right.
And it's like, even if I don't understand what the question is that I'm supposed to ask, even if I do, it's like I get this wall of knowing that, no, don't even bother asking that, which I find interesting, because I know as well. It's interesting you say that, Karen, because if I was to ask that question, I thought, oh, look, I'll go ahead and ask. I know I'll get we are not able to discuss that at this time. It's like oh, hello, there's a little one there. Hello. Can you see? Yeah. Oh. Yes. Sorry. So, that you can't access all answers, because you need to, as you say, with a lot of things, either it's not appropriate to answer them, or it's not for you to know, at that time, or to find it out for yourself, as you say.
Absolutely. Look, Esther and Jerry said this too, when she talks about the beginning of their process, when she's connected to Abraham, and Jerry, she says, the eternal questioner, has like a million questions to ask. She said that at the beginning of the transmission, when he was asking all his questions, much of the time, the Abraham consciousness was saying, that's not your work. That's not your work.
Right.
We're not going to answer that. That's not your work. And then eventually Esther said that Jerry said, okay, I keep asking these questions that you're not answering. What is my work? What is appropriate for me to ask? And so they said, we're going to talk about raising consciousness and deliberate creation. And that's the work that they do. Oh, okay, there's a couple of questions here. Let me
I just remember going outside one night before I was working with the Federation, and I just out loud went, I'm ready. And I was like, why did I say that? It was like my soul was saying that. And so maybe a contract to channel other consciousness or energies, etc., might be a soul contract. But then there's the other channeling that it's just you're bringing through your higher self. It's who can't. When I say who can't do that, I don't mean that flippantly at all. But there's no reason at all why one shouldn't be able to to do that. Whereas if perhaps, I don't know, maybe Karen, that if you have a soul contract, that would, for me, I didn't have to learn to channel or anything. It just happened, type of thing, and I think a lot of people want to learn how to channel, say, the Federation, and it's not necessarily meant to be that they do. Yes, and yet I don't. Yet I do feel that they're able to connect with them.
Excuse me. Absolutely. That what I have found, having witnessed many teachers over the last 20, 25 years, is that when there is this really powerful contract, I'll say contract rather than agreement, because it's kind of set in stone in many ways. We do have free will to say, no, I'm not going to do it, but that's going to create a whole world of suffering. It does happen absolutely without any teaching, any like I remember Garnet when he first connected with his spirit guide. On the first show I had with Garnet, I kept quizzing him. So how did you do that, Garnet? How did you do that? And he goes, Karen, it just happened. And I'm like, but how did it happen? He goes, I don't know. It just happened.
Yeah.
So, So,
and you teach, I think, my teacher has been myself and WhiteCloud, because when he first came in, and we've learned to work together. And the way we work now is so different from 21 years ago, nearly 22 years ago. It's a completely different thing altogether. But as you say, you can't go to a book and go, oh, what do I do now? Because my way of channeling is I stay in and we meet in the middle. Whereas other channelers who are called direct voice channelers, they pop out and let the energy come in, and they have no idea what that energy said while they were out. Whereas I am in total, I'm there with him all the way. I can interrupt him or say, I think I don't agree with that or whatever. I'm still in there. So that you have to be your own teachers, I think, really, in that sense.
And I think for many people who don't understand the channeling process, because there are so many different ways that people channel, I think that with our very black and white minds, it's like you're either channeling or you're not. What do you mean you're in there and you're having a conversation? Doesn't that mean it's just you making it up? And then because other people have left the building, there's so many different ways that this stream of consciousness
absolutely,
it's not black and white in any and it's exciting. And I think that when you said anyone can contact their higher self, I think that's absolutely true. And I think that we all of us have connection with our higher selves. We couldn't be breathing if
how can you not, if you know what I mean?
How can you not? It's just that awareness of that connection. So I think that anytime we're loving, in a loving space, we can have that channeling of our higher wisdom, exalted wisdom coming through us when we're reaching out to help people, or just in a joyful space, or anytime we're having a good time and we're feeling good, we have that strengthened connection to the source of who we are.
Yes, absolutely. And you see, I know when we had, we spoke before, Karen, that you have that amazing gift of, as far as I know, being able to just sit there now and go, hold on, I just need to ask you a question. And they'll go, and there you are. I can't do that.
Oh, yeah, you can.
No, I can't. You see, it's interesting because we all have people think, oh, ask him or do that. And I go, no, it doesn't.
Okay.
It doesn't work like that for me. I'd love it to.
I just asked them why. And they just said to me, because you wait for them to tap you on the shoulder. Like, you wait for the invitation, is what they're saying. Rather than expecting it to be there all the time, you wait to feel that, oh, they're here, they want to talk to you. Would that be right?
Well, in the sense of that, I sort of book in my diary each week. Oh, I'm free to channel that morning, so I'll do it then, type thing. With WhiteCloud, not so much in the sense, because I can't listen to that language. The Federation seemed to be a very different way of channeling. When I sit down at the computer and telepathically we speak, whereas with WhiteCloud, because he can come in straight away now, there are times, if appropriate, when I might say to somebody, I think he wants to have a quick word, and I'll let him say what he needs to say, but not, I think I probably, in all honesty, have a bit of a fear of him or the Federation or me not being able to answer the questions.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm quite aware of that. But then sometimes walking along the beach on my own with this Indian in my head, and there's nobody around, I'll have a conversation out loud, and WhiteCloud will speak, and we speak to each other out loud. And sometimes I will get a bit confused because I'll say, go on then, answer that one. And he can't, and he doesn't, or, it's like, it's just, I think it is that. And in all honesty, this may feel right or wrong to people. Why should he be able to answer everything? Is it because he's this, this beautiful being who is all-knowing?
Oh, I've got so much I want to say to that, because...
Go, I'll shut up.
No, don't shut up, because, I think that, again, we're getting back to our human minds that wants it to be black and white. It wants the rules, and if I follow those rules, this is going to happen. And that's not what it's about. So when you have a contract to channel exalted wisdom, so that contract is there and it happens, and you don't have to learn and all that we discuss, like you and many of the people I've had on the show. But you're also human, and you also have a contract to be human. And as a human, you are, living out your karma and working with your limited, belief systems. So you're doing these two things at the same time. You have this contract to bring through the messages, which just pushes you out of the way, and all your fear and all your worry and all your, expectations can just sometimes push you out of the way and just come through. And then there's that time where they let that stay there so that you're personally working on it, so that you actively and deliberately have to alleviate your worry or your trust. So there are two things happening, or more than two things happening. There's many things happening simultaneously. It's just so not black and white.
Yeah. And you grow through all of that, don't you? It's like, and like me saying, oh, I wish I could do what you do type of thing. That's obviously not my role. And I think, we all have our different roles to play. And I am understanding more and more that what mine is, so to speak.
What they said is, it's not your desire to do that, they said. That's what I got.
Tell them they're wrong, Carl.
Okay, so this is what they said. They said that Blossom enjoys having the privacy to be able to just be human. And not on all the time.
Yeah, that's true, because I do have when I say a very normal life, as normal as it can be for anybody. I have a grandson here who's 7. I'm very connected. I have him twice a week, and he stays, and I have my sister lives in Australia with, I have I have a big family here, and I'm a very family person, and my friends, and I like to walk my dog. I like normality. I like life in that sense.
Yes.
And I think, somebody said to me once, oh, if I could do what you do, I'd be asking them questions all day long.
Right.
And I'm like, well, that's probably why you don't do well what I do. Because it really is, that thing for me is, I have this gift and I'm more than happy to share it. I truly am. But also, I don't get the time. Really, I spend probably like a lot of time answering people's emails and things like that. And the rest of the time, I mean, like tonight, if I could share this with you all, tonight, I'm starting a choir. I literally was like, I'm not bored. Well, bored because my soul needs to perform, and I couldn't last year, and this year it's seeming unlikely because of the actual show that the professional company is putting on. It there's not a part for me, and I was like, my soul, I need my soul to sing or whatever. And I thought, well, I've got a keyboard, and I play the keyboard a bit. I thought, start a choir for the fun of it. And I'm not charging anybody. I've got about 10 people coming, I think, tonight, and I've worked out what we're going to sing some popular songs for the enjoyment of, and I think I don't know why I sort of went off on that, because I think that is so important. I've got my side of me that is more than happy, that truly does, and I'm sure you are aware, it takes up a lot of my time, the emails and all that kind of side of it. So I need the balance of family and my music and performing. But I think that's so important to have the balance.
Look, it is important. It is very important to have. And I was just saying before you came online, I was talking about something similar, is that my desire is different to yours in that I'm tapped in, turned on, tuned in all the time because I actually want to be, and I love it. And I was just saying that I would prefer to be in this conversation than off having a party and just sort of having like, I want to be inside it all the time. The sort of the beauty of the physical human life doesn't attract me as much anymore. Doing this work is what I love the most. Really. So I was saying that
I ceased alcohol 16 years ago. And, that changes greatly your dynamic when you go to parties and things like that. And I think for many people, and it's not to say I couldn't have a good time, because definitely could, but like you, I feel now there's few people. It sounds so snotty, but it's not. It's to do with the vibration. I think there's so many people that I truly don't enjoy the company of so much anymore. It's like I'm just not. I'm having to make a real effort for conversation here, and I am not struggling because I know how to make conversation. But at the same time, I'm like, I think I'd rather be at home having a cup of tea because I'm not with my tribe, I think is the thing. And when you're with your tribe, it's like you could go on all night because it's,
You know what I found? We did an exercise before you came on, just releasing other people's energy that we pick up. I used to find that when I went into mainstream parties, pubs and things, I would come home feeling quite exhausted. And as an empath, we tend to sort of pick up a lot of energy. And I went to an event about a year or so ago. A friend is launching an online sort of directory blog site. She was having a launch party to talk about it because they were launching it in a year or two, or half a year, 6 months. Anyway, so she invited all the empaths and the healers. And so there was about a group of about 50 of us all hearing this, her plan. And I walked away from that crowd, and there was alcohol there, but I walked away from that crowd feeling elated. There was something about being amongst other empaths and psychics and healers that there was a different energy exchange happening. And I walked away feeling so energized. It was so different to how I normally feel when I'm in groups. Interesting.
It is. And also on the same note, it can be the same thing with a group of like-minded sharers or whatever. And there can be those that are coming from the ego and without them consciously realizing, they're sucking you dry of your energy, and you can walk out of there and, go just conk out on the bed because they want more of that light for themselves. That it's so, there's people that sort of don't walk their talk really, as well, aren't there? There's so much, I think, energetically. I have a friend who I saw yesterday actually, and they keep themselves to themselves, this couple, very much, because, and they work, nobody knows who they are, but they spend a lot of their day just clearing energies on the planet, just tuning in, clear. And those people I admire. They get no credit, nobody knows they're doing it, and they spend so much time doing it. But she can, while
is WhiteCloud there? Does he want to?
He's always here.
Does he want to pipe up?
He's ready. The man is ready. If that's all right.
Let's bring him through.
The warmest of welcomes to each one of you. Do you know, I see people waving and welcome. Do you know the joy that is in my heart because of the joy that is taking place in this conversation with you all, with us all today? The energy is so high. Blossom, she did not sleep well during the night, and she was concerned that she would not be very vibrant. And in fact, she had a very nasty dream, and it took her a while to come out of it. Whereas now, she is feeling so alive and high, and therefore it is such a pleasure to be with you all. It is a pleasure at any time to have the opportunity to discuss and to just connect with those of you, your souls, your humanity, that are so brave, so strong to be on this planet at this time. You do know, to a certain degree, that you are here because you are the strongest of the strong, and that you are going through tumultuous times. You are aware of this, yet you do not, and I say this with the greatest of respect, you do not quite yet understand the enormity of who you are. And the love and the light of who you are. Yes, we are aware that you know that you are love and that you are light and that you are truth, etc. Yes, you know it, but you be also to do with the energies at present. You are unable, would I say, perhaps to use your energy as much as it is possible. But as these stronger energies come through and you rise up in your vibration as you awaken more to meet that energy, my friends, you will be blown away with, you will sit down and you will say, is this me? Is this really me? Am I capable of this? Yes, I am. And the more you understand and recognize your capabilities, the more confidence you have, and the more it just, your light and your love will pour out of you. You do not have to think, how can I be a brighter light? Because it is you. You are that brighter light. And the more you tap into that knowledge and the energies intermingle, the more you shall just, without thought, be exuding that light, that, as Blossom said, that example of light that will in turn attract others to you.
Yeah.
Your light is will be like a magnet to those that are lost. And I speak about this often, that the time is to come when so much will be brought out into the open, and so many who are lost and cannot possibly consider all they are being told, some will remove themselves from the planet because they cannot deal with that. Whereas those that choose to stay, and there will be many, of course, they will find your light because it will be beaming from you. And when they find you, you will know the exact, like was spoken at the beginning, you will allow yourself to channel the exact words and the exact truth that that particular person needs to hear. And within that, you must trust yourself, but it won't be so much a matter of trusting because it will be so natural and it will feel so good that there would be no question of, was that me or was that somebody else? It is everybody giving what needs to be given. Although these times that you are in, goodness me, you all recognize that you need your strength to get through this. You need to really tap in to your strength because so many, like Blossom, sometimes feels, why did I put my hand up? Why did I volunteer to be here at this time? It was not for the chocolate, that is for sure. It is that you came and you know that inside of you. You know there is a greater purpose for your soul. And it is now that that purpose is beginning to unfold. And as it becomes more apparent, you will not have these feelings of, why am I here? Am I doing enough? I don't feel I am doing what I came here to do. You will be having times when you want to pull the covers over your head just to have, not because you can't stand the world anymore, but just to have a little break, because you will be working. But the working is not the right word. You will be playing so much. And can you visualize, can you think now even of that and how your vibration will have lifted as you keep on? And so your vibration keeps on lifting. And this is how you are here to raise the entire planet, because of you raising your vibration. I will go because I can talk a lot, but it is that I'm just showing to Blossom of an image of, you know, that you have the helium balloons and they stay up on their own. Well, I am showing as if your planet is attached to thousands and thousands of helium balloons, which are you. Each soul on the planet. And it is because of the light that you are able to lift the planet up as these balloons sort of lift up into the atmosphere, would we say, or into the next phase of itself. My friends, I am grateful always for this opportunity to speak and share my love and my wisdom, and that if it feels appropriate to take on board, if it does not resonate with you, then just let it be. You do not have to agree with everything I say.
Yeah.
Only if it feels, and that I would say for anything that you come across, anybody you listen to, anything you read, do not, Blossom is saying that is interesting, that I am to say, do not be fooled. Make sure that you are feeling the truth, because there is so much out there that is truth, and there is so much out there that is not. So, my friends, many thanks for allowing me to be here.
Thank you, WhiteCloud.
Adieu, my friends. Adieu. Cool.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Been a pleasure, and thank you so much.
It's been such a joy. Thanks so much, Blossom. When we were emailing and I said you were going to be a guest teacher and you're like, oh, I'm not a teacher.
I'm a teacher, I am not. And I'm going to be teaching these people some songs tonight. That'd be interesting.
And then I saw one of your videos where you were sort of arguing with that with the Federation, and they were saying, of course you're a teacher. Yes, it's exactly what you are. And then you went, okay, all right, okay, I'm a teacher. And I'm like, right, so now that you've owned that you're a teacher, come in as a test.
Oh, we all teach each other, don't we?
Exactly.
You know, we just teach each other.
It's the concept of what we think teacher is. You know, I always say a teacher is someone who shares their experiences.
Yeah.
And wisdom,
Yeah.
just shares of themselves. That's a teacher.
Absolutely,
You know,
yeah.
So
Absolutely.
love you. Thank you so much.
Thank you all so much. It's so lovely to meet you all, even the ones I can't see that are just on audio. So lovely. Thank you so much for sharing this
Thank
time.
you.
I've loved it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Had a great time.